Hi, everyone. Welcome to another interview of White Belt MMA. And we're pleased to have Sasha Palatnikov here for the show. He's coming off his third round TKO victory over Louis Cosce. And how you doing? How you doing, Sasha, today?
Doing good, man. Good. Just started getting back into training, and body's feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, happy.
Yeah, man. And a crazy fight, too, especially, I mean, you guys going back and forth. And then in the first round, dude, you're in a little bit of a trouble. So, in those type of fights, man, what's the mindset of a fighter? Like, is it one of those mindsets that you're kind of you have to go to a different place, as I hear a bunch of fighters say, or is it kind of one of those things that you just kind of you just have to trust your training, and then from there on, you just let your body just go?
Yeah, that with that situation in the first round, he landed a bunch of shots to the back of my head that kind of affected my equilibrium a bit, affected my balance. But to be honest with you, it looked worse than it was in the fight. I didn't feel hurt. I didn't feel damaged in any way. I just felt it was. I never felt that before, though. I'll give Louis credit. Like I said, I felt like Bambi on ice a little bit. My feet weren't with me, and I just knew I needed to get some space and just recover. So when we kind of got into that, my goal was as soon as I was on the ground, just get back up. As soon as I was getting back up, went back down again. He landed a combination that dropped me, but again, it didn't hurt me. I just was like, oh, I lost my balance, went down. Same thing. I was just like, I got to get back up. As I got back up, landed that first jab again. That's when I was like, okay, take a deep breath, just recollect, and let's just go with what we were planning to do anyway. Going into this fight, I knew Louis was a tough opponent, but at the same time, knowing my level going into this fight was it what I believe was going to be much higher than his, especially striking. And we were prepared. As again, my whole career, I've had to deal with people that shoot on me because they cannot contain the striking. So we kind of figured that he would come out strong, try to finish early like he has in his 7 prior fights, and being the build that he is, knowing that once he doesn't do that, how will he react? And that was always kind of the game plan: stay long, stay at range, and see how he feels. And after the first couple exchanges, before I got into that loss of equilibrium, I could start to see what I needed to see in order to land what I needed to land. And honestly, I thought I was going to be able to get him out in the first round. I was a little bit like, I wouldn't say bummed, but at the same time, I was like, okay, well, I thought I was going to do that, but it didn't work out. And of course, I wouldn't have, painted a better story or picture than the way the fight did go. It was a beautiful piece of violence. But at the same time, I just knew that I had the tools to get Louis out there quick. And like I said, Louis is tough. He put it on me. I threw the kitchen sink at him. He took everything I gave him, and he kept coming forward. And it was good to kind of break, because leading into this fight, he said he was going to break my jaw and break my will. And saying that kind of thing is only going to work against you. And when I hear that kind of stuff, it just motivates me even more. I'm like, okay, let's see it happen then. And it was the reverse. I put him on the surgery table after this fight. He needed surgery, and I broke him. So it was a bittersweet victory, exactly the way that I pretty much planned it, except later finish than I envisioned, and a little bit more damage that I would have liked to have taken. But
Yeah,
otherwise,
you look good, brother. You look good, especially
I
it doesn't seem that
appreciate
you
it.
went to a war right now. So
Definitely. Hey, out of my previous fights, I came out of them. This fight, I came out so much better than I have in previous ones. So for people to say, "Oh, it was such a war," and I feel as good as I feel, I'm very happy, because the better and longer that I stay healthy, the better and longer my career will be, and it's always a positive.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, like I said, I mean, it couldn't have painted a better picture of balance, because you ended up getting the fight of the night. So I mean, that was an extra 50K in your pocket. So that's good. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and then dude, especially when you go through fights like that, and I know, like you said, it's they're tough. I mean, you're going blow for blow, blow for. But do you think as a fighter, every fighter should have that one fight that they just you have to really dig deep? I know, like you said, it's the first round you got hit with a shot, and then you've never felt it before. So do you think every fighter should go through that experience at least once in their career?
I mean, like you should ask Louis that question, because he went out there and starched everyone in the first round, and then finally went up against someone who can not get starched in the first round, and
Mm-hmm.
you saw what happened. Of course, I mean, I fought 5-minute rounds. Not many professional fighters in the UFC can say they've done that. I've had the opportunity to fight for titles. I fought world champions in my second professional fight. I mean, my experience doesn't necessarily show on my record, but I've been in this game longer than most people in the UFC, which is the funniest thing. And you'll see once, like I said, once I start to get my feet wet in the UFC, you'll see. And the people that I will fight will not be at that my level. Don't get me wrong. Anyone can be anyone on any given night. But when I'm firing, I'm telling you, a lot of these guys are going to have a lot of trouble keeping up, and it's going to show. And 2021 is going to be a year that I'm hoping just to clean up everyone that I face, and then be knocking on that top 15 door by the end of 2021, and hopefully not long after that be fighting at a contender spot. So this has been planned for a long time. It's just had a funny way of getting to where we are now, and I actually thought I was going to be in the UFC in 2021, maybe 6 months into 2021. So the fact that it came a little bit sooner was great. And again, I went into that fight being like number one priorities to get that win, knowing that I would win that fight. But like you said, 50K bonus just makes it even that sweeter. And the fact that it's a top 10 fight of the night candidate, and they're talking about round of the year and all this stuff. The fact that people are talking about the fight is amazing. And that's I couldn't have asked for anything better, and people are excited to see me fight again, and hopefully doing stuff like this, interviews, will get my name out there a little bit more, and hopefully people will ride the train, and we'll see where we go.
Definitely, man. So yeah, man, let's get everyone to get to know you a little bit. So like, you're the first Hong Kong native to win a fight in the UFC, to even just compete in the UFC. So like, yeah, man, let's just talk about your backstories. Like, tell us how you started in like the sport of mixed martial arts, and then we'll go from there, dude. Because like, you've been everywhere, dude. Like, was it Russia, Hong Kong, USA? So it's like, like for everyone, it's like everyone that sees that on paper, they're like, what? So like, yeah, man, just tell us a little bit of your story, and then go
Yeah,
from
my
there.
life's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't choose any of this. I was just born into it. But so my father's Russian, my mother is Scottish. My father was a world champion high diver, so he would jump from very high platforms into small pools and do crazy tricks. He was maybe that's why I'm crazy, so I get it from him a little bit. But yeah, he got a contract in Hong Kong. Next thing you know, I came along, then my sister, and we never really left since. We went to school there. I started karate at the age of 5. I had a lot of energy as a kid. My parents just needed to get rid of me for hours, so they would just put me in that. And and that's how I really learned how to fight. I had kids. I was the outsider. I had like Chinese kids that were a little bit older than me, a little bit tougher than me at the time, and I was just this little blonde-haired kid, and I would just get beat up, and cry every day, and I hated it. But my parents forced me to do it, and after years and years of that, you start to kind of get better, and I started to get more confident, started to compete in competitions, karate point fighting competitions around Southeast Asia. I would win some, lose some, and it was something I enjoyed doing as a young kid. My dad, helped me through that journey, and then I got to high school and I met all my like friends, and they were playing team sports, soccer, rugby, basketball, and I fell in love with all that stuff because you're not only playing a sport, but you're playing with your friends, and I fell into that and got kind of not really away from martial arts, but martial arts was always there. I was always training martial arts, even in the off seasons of team sports. It was always there, but it wasn't like a love like I had for team sports through my teen years. And playing rugby professionally was a goal that I had in high school, and something that I accomplished at 18. I played rugby professionally. I lived in Russia, and then at the age of 19 is when I started to see like, I lived in Montreal at the time. I was studying there, and I'd seen like George St. Pierre, and he won his title against Matt Serra. And the reaction that the city had for him winning that title was like pretty amazing to me. And I always like, I've been in street fights growing up, and like I always loved scrapping on the street, and I just knew like I had something with my stand up. Like I was like, I could just do what I just felt comfortable doing what I did standing up. And I was like, I wonder what that like, jiu-jitsu grappling world is like. And playing rugby, I kind of understood how the body worked, the mechanics. And once I started to learn it and I got kind of into it, I was just obsessed. And, I've been an MMA fan since I was a kid. Me and my family have been watching combat sports forever. So, it was just meant to be kind of thing. It was like full circle. Got the athleticism from all the team sports, started off as a young scrapper who could kind of just hold his own, but then fell into it later in his teen years to learn the aspects of the ground, and it all just came together really well. And I was training with professionals when I was an amateur, just coming up, and I would just dust them striking, and people would be like, man, like you can do this thing. But then on the ground, like I would get smoked. So I was like, man, I really need to improve my ground game. I really need to put a lot of emphasis on it. So, I travel around the world just trying to learn from the best that I could learn from, just where I was, just trying to learn. I was training nonstop, competing in the gi, no gi, just everything, so that I could, at least in my mind, put myself at a level where I felt comfortable, so that if it got there in the fight, I know what to do. I could, just be safe, or know what I need to do to get out of the position, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, and then finally I got the confidence to compete as an amateur, and went out there and knocked somebody out in the first 30-40 seconds. And that's when I was like, okay, well, I think I should do this then, if I can get paid for it, and that'd be great too. So, at that time, like my family had always been like, we never want you to be a professional fighter, this, that, and the other. I was always pushed at a very young age not to be a professional fighter, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm going against them, but I was like, oh, well, it's kind of like working out right now this way. And my parents weren't super supportive in the beginning, but I've earned all my money. I've earned everything that I've done in my whole career to put myself in the best position to be fighting, and sacrificed a lot. And this is just, I've been supporting myself. I didn't have anyone supporting me until really I got a manager, and that's when kind of things changed. But I've been putting myself through this. I've been believing in myself this whole time, and I continue to believe in myself, my system, the way that I fight, the way that I think. I'm a strategist when I fight. I'm a cerebral fighter, until I guess I get hit a bunch of times in the head and that goes out the window. But I try to be as strategic as I can when I fight, and I believe I have a very strong advantage over a lot of fighters because of it. And then just the contributing factors of my athleticism and my martial arts journey. So like I said, in my first fight, you could see 2 weeks notice, I had a little bit of turmoil myself coming off COVID, but at the same time, I knew I had to go in there and get the result. And going after something like that, 6 weeks without COVID, oh my goodness, I feel bad for whoever they do put in there. So it's going to be quick work, and it's going to be fun, and I'm just excited to do it again as soon as possible.
Yeah, dude. So like, especially like you said, like you just said you got COVID, like it was like just right before you get the call from the UFC. So like, dude, when you get the call like from the UFC, I know it was like a day after like you're out of quarantine. Like, I'm pretty sure there was like no doubt in your mind that you're going to take the fight, right? And then like when you did accept the fight though, like what was like the training? Because I'm guessing you didn't have to go yet. What was the word? Like you weren't going to go all in. You had to kind of ease back in to get your lungs up to that point. So what did you have to do to like be ready by the time that you stepped into that octagon?
So like I got the text message. It wasn't a phone call. I got a text message from my manager, said, "Do you want to fight on the 21st in the UFC at UFC 255?" And I just said, "Let's do it." I responded straight away. I said, "Let's do it." And then I went saw my best friend Matt, who's my pad holder, my coach. And I was like, "Dude, we're fighting UFC." He's like, "What?" And I was like, I just finished teaching the kids class, and I was like, "Yeah, man, let's hit some pads, because like I need to start." So
Yeah.
and that session was terrible. Like my lungs were just a mess, and I couldn't last 30 seconds. So then I was like, oh shit. But after that, I was like, you know what? I just need a couple days to see how it feels. I gave myself, basically, I think it was a Wednesday, and I was like, let's see how I feel Monday. So by that time, I was doing multiple pad sessions a day. I was running in the mountains. I was, doing conditioning, just all, or like, cardio, aerobic, just, making my heart rate work, just trying to get that garbage out of my lungs. And then by Monday, I just started to feel like myself again. And I remember I did pad work on Sunday night, and I was like, I went like 2.5 rounds without feeling like any issue with my lungs. And then the last like maybe minute of the third round, I was like, oh, I'm tired. But I'm like, maybe that's normal. And then Monday I went in, and I was like, boom, 3 sharp rounds. I'm like, oh, we back. So then it was just like uphill from there, just kept going. And like I have a very good strength and conditioning coach. His name is Lorenzo Pavlica. He's with Primetime Performance One. Dude's a genius. I've been working with him since March or April of this year, since my surgery. So he has been getting me looking really sharp and, making sure that I'm in shape. And, my last 2 fights were of this year have been under him, and will, in any fight continuing forward, will be under him. So there's never going to be an issue with cardio or being out of shape. I'm always in shape. I'm always ready to go fight night. Cardio has never been an issue for me, and it never will be. Give me COVID, I still come out in some pretty damn good shape. So imagine what my gas tank's going to be like on a full camp. So I'm going to break people. I'm going to pressure people, and I'm going to highlight real people. So like I said, it's going to be exciting 2021.
Yeah, definitely, dude. And you're training at an awesome team, bro. Team Syndicate, like you guys have been in a roll. Like Jordan Levitt just had that win over the weekend. Nathan Levy, he earned himself a UFC contract. So like,
Yeah.
dude, like when it comes to training at like I think I was talking to Nathan Levy like a couple of weeks ago, and he was kind of attesting that like Team Syndicate, like you guys train hard, and then like that's what makes you guys be prepared by the time you get into the octagon. So like, in your mind, like when you're training with such good people and like everyone that's motivated, everyone's trying to strive for the same goal, like does it just make the job that much easier, brother?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's nothing better than to have options. You have a certain fight against a certain style of opponent or certain body frame or type. At least in the gym here, you have like a good array of different bodies, levels, skills. So you've always got a good opportunity to work on the things you need to work with. And then of course the coaches too, some of the best coaches, some of the best minds. And you sit down, you watch film, you decide how you want to go about the camp, how you want to go about this fight, this particular opponent, and you dissect it. It's a lot of people from the outside who don't necessarily know the sport think their work. Most people are meatheads or dummies, but this is everything to me. This is I'm a surgeon. I go in there and dissect everything I can about my opponent. I look at their social media. I look at everything. I'm a stalker. Like I look at everything. Any weakness I can see, I'll take it. And this is a game of mental warfare and a game of physical warfare. And I'm a strategist. So a little bit of education, a little bit of knowledge, and it can work a lot for some guys in this sport. So we'll see how the dialogues, how the mind games come in the new year. But yeah, it should be fun. It should be a good time.
That's awesome, man. And then do you have anybody in mind that you want to like call out or anything like that, or is it kind of like what the UFC puts up in front of you and you're like,
To be honest with you, like I've taken a look at the list of the roster, the welterweight roster, and there's tons of names that I like to fight. But at the same time, a lot of these guys right now have fights already lined up. So I'm just kind of waiting for the UFC to tell me. I gave them a list of who I'd like, my little Christmas list.
Mhm.
There's some fantasy names. I don't care. Like I say whoever you give me is whoever I'll take. But Mickey Gall was a name. I was wondering what he's up to. Diego Sanchez, I don't know what he's up to. So, names like that I inquired about. There are a couple other guys, but again, they have fights lined up already. And then again, I just open talks with UFC. So once bigger names, bigger opportunities come, then we got to negotiate and make sure we're getting fiscally compensated and make sure everything is in line. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just ready to go and start my camp in the new year, and I'll probably be fighting mid-February, end of February, early March. And then from there, let's just hopefully keep the ball rolling and just bang them out. Because right now, all the cards are kind of preset with Abu Dhabi coming up in the new year. So once they come back from Abu Dhabi, I'm hoping to jump on something there.
Yeah, and you just mentioned the Abu Dhabi card, dude. And then, like, I mean, if you don't mind, like, we got the big Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier card. So, like, who do you have in that one? Do you have Conor taking the rematch again, or do you think Dustin's just gotten, he's gotten like so much better over the last 2 years that he takes it?
I mean, if I'm betting, I'm going to put my money on Conor. I think Conor looks good. He looks in shape. He looks strong. Dustin, man, I love Dustin. I think he's he's a fan favorite. He's a great guy. I would love for him to win. I would love that. Who knows? Who knows what kind of fight this turns out to be? They're both great fighters. They're both better than they were when they first fought. But I'm going to say the same thing. Connor's an elite striker. He's one of the best, and I think he's going to get it done with Dustin. I think he's also one of those guys who's on another level mentally, and I've been following Conor for a very long time. since people even knew who he was when he was fighting at Cage Warrior. So I'm a huge MMA fan. Like, not only do I love this sport as a fighter, as a professional, but I'm a huge fan. And you know, I've watched the stupidest, most random cards and try to just watch talent up and coming. So I've been doing that since I was a teenager. So when Conor was coming up, he was different, and I noticed him. And you know, I always thought of him as a what's the word I'm looking for? An anomaly, you know, an anomaly, you know. So
Well, it was a tongue twister right there, man.
yeah, he's just different, and his mindset was different, and I saw that, and I agree. I agree that I think he's just on another level, especially when he's ready, when he's motivated, and he's a phenomenal athlete. So I think he'll get the job done, probably in some kind of remarkable knockout. I feel like, but hey, I would love to see the underdog win. I'm a big supporter of the underdogs always, and I really like Dustin. I think he's a superb fighter. So yeah, I would love for like a 5-round war. That would be amazing. You know?
Yeah, don't they have that meme too? It's like motivated Conor beats anybody, like going on.
Yeah, I mean, now that if Khabib clears out, I mean, who really is going to beat Conor?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that is true. That is true. Then again, you have Michael Chandler jumping into the picture, and then everyone seems to be on his high horse now. Not a fan of Chandler, man.
No, I'm not a fan of Chandler.
Yeah,
I don't
man.
think so. I think it's annoying, actually. He's already in the EA Sports video game, and he hasn't even fought in the UFC yet.
Marvin Vittori, he's not even in the game, and then
I know, it's not fair. It's not fair. He should be in the game.
Yeah, no. Vittori, though, I'll give him props, dude. That was just a masterclass performance that he had against Jack Hermanson, man. Like, I mean,
Awesome.
especially, I'm surprised though. Like, I'm surprised that he was only ranked like number 13th, especially with him like having that like much success, and especially being one of like the few people to give Adesanya trouble. So like for him to be still 13, it kind of has me scratching my heads at the rankings, to be honest.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is with Vittori, nobody wants to fight him. So when he's not fighting and nobody's accepting to fight him, then you can't really move up the rankings.
That is true.
I think he was at a higher ranking, but because he was, when was his last fight? A year ago? I can't even remember.
I think it was like in, I want to say August, July, definitely over the summer. So
last year or this year?
No, this year, 2020.
Who did he fight?
Carl Robertson.
Oh yeah, that was his first fight back because he had all the fallouts. That was his first. Yeah,
because I know he went he went through like his family going through something with COVID and everything like that. So
yeah. So I remember. Yeah, that's right. He had Roberson. He got rid of him quickly, and then this was his like big fight. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I know of Vittori through Strickland, who I train with, and you know he only says really good things about him and how much of an animal he is. And I've had former training partners that used to train out there with him and who said very good things about him. So I've always been kind of checking Vittori out, thinking like he's dope, he's a great fighter, and he's just tough as nails, and he fights like a warrior, and he's super technical. I mean, he's worked so hard on his craft that he's ready in every position. You saw even in the wrestling and in the switches and his defensive wrestling with Hermanson, he beat him everywhere.
Yeah.
Every single way that Hermanson wanted to try to change the fight, Vittori's like, all right, let's go there, and then he just demolished it. So yeah, I mean, Hermanson stuck in there, and I knew Vittori would probably win the way he won. And yeah, it was a great fight. It was really exciting. Fight of the night.
I think he needs to clean up his post-fight interviews though. I feel like every post-fight interview I always see him, everything's just bleeped out. I'm just there like, I did not know what he just said.
I agree. He needs to work on that for sure.
No, that's right, man. But like you said, man, you're a big fan of MMA. So like the fact that I think you mentioned it like at the like your press conference that like the fact that you got to meet Joe Rogan, man. So like, how was that? Like a lot of people like don't get to meet their idols or people that they grew up watching. So like, what was that, dude? Like, were you nervous talking to them, or you were just there like, dude, I was manifesting this like years ago. I knew I was gonna talk to Rogan.
I honestly had no idea that Rogan was even going to be commentating. I'd asked like my manager, I'd asked even at the event while we were in the warm-up area, and I was like, is Rogan commentating? They're like, we're not sure, because I knew John Anik and I knew DC was there, so I was like, okay, that's for sure. But I didn't know Joe Rogan was going to be there. And then they have the TV screens in the warm-up area, and then all of a sudden I see his big head on the screen. I'm like, oh, it's Joe Rogan, sick. Like, he's commentating. Like, that's when, and that was probably like 30 minutes before I fought. So I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, cool because people didn't know. And then I was like, oh, so I gotta win now for sure, you know. And then no, I mean, to be honest with you, after the fight, like my adrenaline was just pumping so hard, and I've watched the interview back, and I'm just like, just regurgitating words so quickly at him, you know, and like I just kind of wish that I had like a little, maybe like a minute or two to like get my composure, because but no, it was good, man. Like it was honestly super cool, and I hope that I get to have a conversation with him outside of the interview, or just a general chat would be kind of cool. But hopefully we'll see each other again, hopefully in the cage or in the interview situation again. But definitely it was cool, man. Like I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. I've been listening to his podcast forever, and he's just the guy that I think I would get along with. So I've just always thought he was one of the boys, and it's Joe. So it was just like one of those, you know. And you're just like, oh wow, and like what was cool, like he interviewed me, and like he watched my fight, but after going back and watching my fight and hearing his reactions to some of the things I was doing in my fight was the cool part. Like him, like literally screaming out loud at certain things. I was like, "What? I have this effect on."
It's like stuff you see in a movie. Like, what the hell?
yeah. So that was pretty surreal. Like literally, because I finished the fight, and I was probably, I would say, by the time I got home, like it was the main card was starting. So I think I watched like a fight, and then I was like, oh, screw the next fight, I'm gonna watch my fight. So I went on like ESPN Plus and like got it up and watched it, and like sat there, and I was like, holy crap, like that's me. And then I was like listening to commentary, I was like, oh wow, like they're saying really, because like for some reason when I fight I always think I suck. I don't know what it is, but like I always think I lose, like until I go back and watch the fight, and I was like, oh wow, like that was cool, you know. And then, yeah, obviously, you know, a lot of people, you know, reaching out and congratulating me and saying, like, honestly, it was so much positive feedback. I was expecting like more haters. Like I did get a little bit of hate, you know, but I was expecting way more. But everyone was generally super nice and like super supportive and happy with, you know, my performance. And that's great. I couldn't have asked for anything else, you know?
Yeah, definitely, bro. Favorite Joe Rogan podcast though? Favorite episode that you have in mind? Or like you just
Ooh.
it's like one of those things that you just like have so many moments that you just can't pick one.
There's definitely some that have definitely stood out to me that were just amazing. I mean, the Steve Jobs one, it's not Steve Jobs, Elon Musk one, like was definitely one of my favorites.
When he went viral with the joint.
Exactly, that was pretty epic. But I really enjoy a lot of like the athletes that he brings on. Like, you know, I liked when he brought I liked Tyson when he's brought him on several times. Like he brought Holyfield, which I thought was cool. Even like hearing Israel Adesanya was dope. Khalil Roundtree, like, you know, guys that I don't necessarily know so much. I've seen them, I follow their career, but don't know them. So I would like to tune in and listen to a couple things. Who are some? I mean, I like Ben Shapiro sometimes. You know, so they're. I mean, some of the actors. I mean, some comedians. I mean, I love
the
Kevin
Joey
Hart.
Diaz. You can't forget about Joey Diaz.
Well, I mean, Joey Diaz is the part, you know,
especially when he was talking about Stipe too, like just mispronouncing his name the whole time.
Absolutely.
Like, dude, I was just dying.
I love when they do like, you know, the fight day stuff with, you know, they have like Brandon and Joey, you know, Eddie Bravo,
yeah,
you know, Brian Callen. Like I love their, you know, their vibe.
Yeah, because it's just like watching just like legitimately a set of group of friends. I mean, they are a group of friends, legitimately just hanging out, just saying stupid stuff. And it's like, I mean, then you have like a million people still watching you. But like, hey, that's what I love about Joe though. It's like he has like over 1 million people watching him, but he's still acting normal, you know, still being him. Like he didn't let he didn't let the fame or like the money get to his head. And like that's the one thing that why everyone loves Rogan Joe.
Exactly. He's just a neutral dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, he has his like moments where you're just like, yeah, he shouldn't have said that, but like everybody does. Like you think like he's perfect is just, you know, ridiculous. But no, I mean, I respect him, and I've learned a lot from him. That's another thing. I've learned a lot of information and been put onto things through his podcast to learn more about other things. So for me, it's a learning tool, and Joe will just be like, yeah, whatever. But I've learned cool things, and I'll always appreciate people that I've learned stuff from. Whether it be martial arts, whether it be knowledge, whatever it be. So I mean, and I loved Fear Factor. Simple fact. I grew up it would be like a show me and my family would watch like religiously. So growing up as a young kid, watching Fear Factor, and then seeing him like kind of evolve into who he is now, he's like one of the most famous men on the planet. So definitely, it was a pretty surreal experience, but hopefully not the last one. The goal has always been a goal of mine, is to get on his podcast. So that would be amazing. Start here and make my way to gym.
Oh, 100%, dude. And then like, hey, who knows though? You might get a rolling session in Rogan though. I haven't been seeing a bunch of Rogan jiu-jitsu rolling videos like in a while though. Cause like, I mean, way back in the day, like, I think the funniest one is when he choked out that MySpace dude that called him out. Dude, he had like, yeah, dude. So like, I'm guessing like Joe and Eddie like flew him out, and then they legitimately had a rolling session, and then Joe legitimately just front guillotined him to death. It was just funny. It was the most funniest thing, dude.
Yeah, man, I mean, I've also seen like how he'll have guests come over, like fighters, and then he's like, yeah, you can use my gym and train, and his gym looks so sick.
Oh yeah, dude, that's insane.
So
has he showed up like the new setup though? Because I've only seen like the new like spaceship type of like setup.
Yes, exactly. I haven't seen anything else out of that. But I'm sure, if anything, I mean, I'm sure it'll take time for everything to get like situated, but that was probably the most important thing that he needed to build, and then everything else will come with it. But yeah, I mean, with that Spotify deal, he's set. So
oh yeah, 100%, dude. 100%.
Have whatever he needs.
Yeah, man. So like, and I know we ended up fanboying a little bit, but like, hey, man, like I said, I really appreciate the time that you gave me just to talk to you, get to know your story, and I mean, I really can't wait to watch you fight again in the octagon. So before we leave, do you want to plug in your social media so everyone watching this can go and follow you?
For sure. On Instagram, it's Sasha Palatnikov MMA. Trust me, not many people have this name, so it should be easy to find. Twitter is Palatnikov MMA, and Facebook is Sasha Palatnikov. Yeah, follow me on social media, and yeah, just tune in for information, news, stuff that's coming up. I'm going to be auctioning off some of my fight gear from my last fight. There'll be some posters, there'll be some hats, there'll be some fight shorts, there'll be some autographs. So I'm going to be posting that on my social media, trying to get that out before Christmas. And then the money that I raise from that is going to all go to charity here in Las Vegas, just to help with homeless people looking for some food over Christmas. Just trying to help out any way I can. And yeah, so if looking for some gear that's gonna go up in value significantly over the next few years, definitely look to invest, and slide into my DMs. We're going to be posting a big thing about it, so just check it out over, I think, this weekend. I'm going to try to get it going. And but yeah, appreciate you, man. Thanks for this opportunity to get my name out there, and hopefully once I have some more news or some more juicy information, we can get it going again.
Without a doubt, man. And then maybe we can fanboy more about Joe Rogan or some other stuff.
For sure.
Like I said, man, really appreciate the time, man. Yeah, man, have a good one. So to everyone watching, make sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.
Thank you,
again, bro. Thank you.